Hi, I'm Alex,
And I'm Calvin.
and welcome to Hiring Nowadays, episode 5.
Woohoo!
I've got a new look. I look different from last time you saw me, and we're again here discussing hiring. That's what we love. We're a company that basically deals in recruiting and trying to help companies find the right talent that's going to allow them to grow, right?
Yeah.
Today's subject is decoding job descriptions and the future of hiring. I feel like the world is so ever changing and it changes so fast nowadays. You know what took maybe kind of like 10 years to be a technological advancement now is done in maybe like a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like technology just moves so fast and it's so hard to catch up with all the things that you can do, right, to improve your hiring game. But today I want to talk specifically about job descriptions and maybe what are the future of job descriptions, what could maybe change or what maybe you could be doing wrong. We're always here advising you to do your best and to try to make your company seem as transparent as possible, and not also transparent but also to show their values. Showing your values as a company is a great way to attract talent. So what do you think, Calvin? What do you think? What are your 2 cents on job descriptions?
Yeah, of course. And my look hasn't changed much. So Alex is looking quite dapper for those that's listening in. With job descriptions, they're interesting. I've run through the gamut of what I actually do with, and for myself for job descriptions, when I actually write them up and when I review them. I think it's really important that you take the time in what you're putting out there. And what we'll probably get into later is how AI is actually helping that. And what we'll dig in a little deeper is even how, when you write those descriptions, what are the biases you have in them? What are you not understanding that you might be preventing people from actually applying to your jobs? Because if you use an AI tool, and this is easy to do, you put in, you prompt it, write me a job description for a senior software engineer with Ruby experience. And then you give it some information about what that Ruby experience you need, and boom, it shoots out a job description for you. Mm-hmm. Right? I think that's how most job descriptions are going to be done now. Think how most of them were done in the past is someone just saw one, copied, pasted it, and then edited it. Now they're essentially doing the same thing, but with AI, and luckily AI is able to give a general overview.
Yeah, I feel like the job description specifically on a skills standpoint, right? That's like the bone, like the structure. That's what you want. But the rest is more, like I said, being descriptive in the right way, talking about your company, because it does work, maybe AI, sure, like it can give you something that is well written, technical wise or whatever, but only you know your company like you do, then that's important. So let's start off talking about a little bit of the importance of understanding job descriptions. I feel like maybe there's 2 ways of reaching this subject, because it's the importance on the company side to understanding how important it is to write a clear job description. But there's also the part where you want to write something that people are going to get, what I mean? So I don't know, what do you think? What is the most important thing maybe on a job description?
Yeah.
That is going to suck, I think.
Got some good noise in here. Well, let's break down the point, like, what is the point of a job description, right? The point of the job description is to get the right candidates to apply to your job. That's really difficult if you aren't writing in a way for people to be attracted to it. If you just say, and maybe the point, if you just say, these are the skills I need, let's just break down the skills. I need a Rails software developer. Like, that's all I'm putting in there, and I just put in the necessary skills and technical, and this is what you're going to get. Maybe you want a no-nonsense person, so you're like, okay, I don't want to deal with all the culture and blah, blah, we're a no-nonsense company, and that's what we want. then maybe that's the type of people you're gonna attract. But depending on what you put in there, is you're hoping to get the right candidates to come find you.
Yeah.
You might be keywording for certain things to get the right people to come or even want to join your company. You also might be hoping to find a diamond in the rough, because you might structure your job description and get 500 applicants, and that might sound like hell for a lot of people, and because you're only going to hire maybe 1 or 2 people, but it's not the worst problem to have.
Yeah.
What you really want to avoid is writing the job description in a way where you're getting just the wrong candidate.
Like clones, like maybe the same profile over and over again.
Yeah, if you get
not
the
one
same
that's gonna
profile.
stand out like
Yeah.
the way you want it.
And then it's just like you put their names on a wall and throw a dart and see which one.
Yeah.
Blindfold yourself and throw a dart.
And
see
that's a
what
risk.
pops out.
That's a risk right there, because you want someone that is really gonna change your team, or find that amazing candidate that is not only going to inspire you, but it's going to also inspire their coworkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's a lot like advertising. I mean, you can have try to advertise a job or whatever and do it as bland as possible, or you can put some spice into it and attract, like you said, the right person. Someone that's going to say, oh, I got that joke. Maybe put some obscure joke of something that reference something cool. It's like clever ways of doing it, right? It's in the details. We always talk about the details of a job description are so important. If you want to have someone that is going to align with your company's values and your company's culture.
Yeah, and I think it's really valuable that you put that in there. Maybe you put a joke in there. Maybe you put even a word puzzle into the job description. Because if that's the type of culture that you want to attract, then you want those people to get it. And then maybe it weeds the people out that don't get it.
Yeah. It's like a way to also save time for you. Like we were talking about, if you do something very generic, like a generic job description, it's most possible that everyone is going to apply to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's not going to be anything special. And there are no limits, there are no limits to what you can maybe try. You can get creative. You can get your team together, maybe talk about what type of person you want to hire. They can help, of course, writing a job description. But now I also want to talk about addressing implicit bias in job descriptions. So how would you describe that? I don't know if I'm very familiarized. A bias is when you don't... well, you explain it maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it well in English.
So how I would say implicit bias would be... writing the job description in a way to exclude people without really, and you, with all good intentions, you might not try to do this, right? So I don't know how PC this is, but I've definitely said, if you say no jerks allowed in the business,
Yeah.
right? Typically, jerks are male-oriented, whatever, male identifying.
Yeah, maybe
right?
a bit so masculine, kind of like a...
But that's a jerk. But you're you're saying now, implicitly, you might just be telling everybody that this is a male-dominated culture, and no jerks allowed. But with all good intentions, you just want people to be good people. But by saying these little things here and there, you're excluding people from even wanting to apply. And so that's really where it comes down to in your JD. Are you writing things in a way that you're excluding people from wanting to apply because of the things you're saying? And yeah, it's not about being touchy-feely. I mean, it's important to understand those things. But it's really just you want good candidates to apply. And good candidates come in all forms. So when you write this job description, it's really important to understand those things. And I will say, not to plug ourselves too much, but sometimes when we look at a job description, we take it and we generally understand what a company wants out of an employee or a person, and we bypass those implicit biases. So because like if we see that, we go, okay, I know what they really mean. So we won't actually share like, oh, this company wants no jerks. We'll get a general feeling of who this person is, and we go, okay, this person, the company just wants this. Or because we have this debrief with the companies, and we remove these biases that these companies are putting in these JDs. Mm-hmm. And so we're just feeding the company great candidates in any form that they can come in.
Yeah, I thought when I read that, I was thinking, I don't know why I was thinking of more also on the company side, maybe like you can be a little bit too uptight when writing job descriptions and maybe think that you really need this incessively, and you're maybe missing out on other opportunities just because you're like settled, like, I don't know, boundaries. Also, like hiring is such like an important and also surprising thing. You know, you can be very surprised when you find candidates. But yeah, I would definitely think that if you definitely want to push people away from your job or your company, maybe I would do it, but thinking of, okay, who wouldn't I want to work with? Or these specific soft skills must be present, for example. Like, oh, I want someone that's going to be kind in the workplace. Don't not be a jerk, for example. But it's definitely things that I feel like companies need to discover. It's like interiorizing a lot, you know, okay, what do we want? Like, what do we want to accomplish? What do we expect of the next person we want to hire? And maybe start through there, right?
Yeah, and it's also just like not having one person write it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like you have other people
Filters
taking a look at
important.
it. Because, again, if I write it, I'll have my own, maybe I have these biases when I'm writing something up. And I'm not understanding that I'm excluding people, and I'm not trying to. And so you would have other people maybe in your organization with different backgrounds looking at this job description and giving you feedback on how this JD could look differently.
It's important, yeah. It's important to different departments to see, not just the technical people that are going to be working, but also obviously HR, but anyone who can like maybe pitch in. It makes for a stronger maybe writing of a job description. But you know who isn't biased? Or AI, I guess.
Well, actually, AI does have a lot of biases to them.
Oh, because they have boundaries and specific limits, right? Maybe.
Well, that, and I would also say it's who's feeding the AI. Yeah. So I don't know if we did it on a podcast in the past, but I definitely told people when I was creating, I created a career coaching bot using AI, and I wanted to create an AI generated image of a smart woman. Mm-hmm. And it gave me, and I asked for 4 different types of images. And I just said, I want a smart woman who is kind, helpful, and I want 4 different types. It gave me 4 different Asian women with glasses. It essentially it essentially said there could not be any other types of smart women out there but Asian women.
That's all the data that it had, right?
Because it does have these biases of what people tell it of what something is smart or what something is right, because AI just takes what other people's information is and says
AI has been online too long. Too long. Been seeing Reddit posts or whatever. But yeah, like it's interesting because, you know, I would think of how you could use AI. I was watching like this, I watched this news segment on YouTube, and it was talking about this trial where I think the judge or whatever was feeding the AI to see if it was guilty or not. Something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it was something with the, what do you call the persons that, not the judge, but the...
jury?
Man. Yeah, the jury. Something like that. Or maybe it was picking juries.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't remember very well. But I thought that was crazy because, you know, the human element to me is important. AI is very useful. But to me, adding that human element is what makes it valuable. You know, it's like how you can read into the information. Like how you were saying, when you fed and you said, oh, I want the pictures of smart women, your human side you said, okay, AI, this is wrong. This is not right.
And
like, I'll cancel you.
well, and then I actually had to specify, okay, I want 4 different ethnically cultural women to choose from. But I think how you can leverage AI to write this job description is you have to feed it certain information. So, and that's the thing, because I don't know if AI is getting smarter or dumber with more information. It's an odd thing to think about, because early days it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. But you start to see, and as I use this more and more, it's like, because you see it getting more and more information. You think with more information, it would make smarter decisions. It would give you better information. But it actually feels that sometimes the information giving you is not as good as it like was. And this goes to your point earlier that technology is changing things so fast. Like 3 months ago, I was like shocked with it. And now I'm like, okay, I'm kind of accustomed to generative AI. And at the same time, I go, I don't know if these answers were as good as they once were. But that's not, and that might be because all the handcuffs on it as well, for whatever, for good or bad reasons. Mm-hmm. But where I think this at least can go for a job description, right, is it can generally, and I think if you provided the information on your company, provided the emotions you want out of it, if you want that in your what you're trying to attract, you can describe that and it'll pump it out for you. I mean, when it comes to the skills, responsibilities, and everything like that, I think I just used it for getting some scope of works for people, and it gave me the general synopsis. I don't think it's that much different than finding someone else's job description, just copy and pasting and then editing it. Mm-hmm. I think this just makes you feel like you have a little bit more control over it. But I don't really feel AI is going to change that much in job description. It'll just be easier to put it out there instead of having to go and find and copy it and pasting it. The key component is the 2, maybe 3 areas that are going to be really important. I mean, you always have to have your about us, the company, and then you want to talk about your team, and that you always have to generate, but you can also have AI help you with that if you need it. But I think it's just going to be able to pump out a JD faster and for you and your teams to edit it.
It's hard because I feel like, well, first of all, never go with the first answer the AI gives you, right? Like you said, I feel like AI is a tool that you can use, but you need to have a conversation and feed it information so it can better understand or better offer you something that you can use. I still think that AI, it does work. It maybe be a lot more meat that bone than meat, But I feel like it's a responsibility also, and that's what we do, right? I mean, that's in Awana we help people understand their company better to see how we can write a perfect job description for them, and it's important and it works, And definitely that would be our advice. If you are gonna try to make a job description with AI, try having a conversation like Calvin said, right? Like first start talking about your company. Hey, I wanna tell you some stuff about my company, describe it, then talk about what the team does, what they're trying to accomplish. And then maybe talk about what skills are needed or what kind of soft skills you want. And then you can ask, okay, can you write me maybe a job description? I always advise to, try to like sharpen the edges a little bit, whatever it fits you. Maybe I'm old fashioned, but like, I feel like it's definitely a good use of AI, especially when you're trying to like fill a job in your company. So do you think a lot of people are using AI right now to hire, like specifically to write job descriptions? Like
I definitely know people are using it for job descriptions. I think it's just so much easier to do it. I think there's no doubt that people are like, I think I'd be surprised if people aren't using it. Yeah.
Send us your job descriptions made by AI. We'll rate them. We'll rate them right here. We'll help you.
I like that.
But it is effective. I mean, AI is making the world I always feel like, to me, the romantic way of viewing AI that I like is that it's like a good partner to brainstorm with. It's not gonna be the one that gives you all the answers, but you need to have a conversation, and it is effective. I mean, I bet there's company who need to post maybe, like, I don't know, I'm guessing, I don't know if this is true, but like maybe 200 job descriptions a day, like, and obviously not all of them are gonna be unique. Maybe you need, I don't know what you're trying to close, but in that case, it makes everything easy. Yeah. But if you're trying to find that really rare role, that special candidate, you need to put the effort, and you need to have this brainstorm with AI in order to do it, for sure.
And I think where we're going to take this next really is, like, once you have your JD, like, and I'm only going to talk about like the candidate sourcing part. We're not even going to talk about the interviewing or anything like that. But once you have that JD and all those candidates that are coming to you, I think it gets really tricky to then rely on somebody else or even filters to find those right candidates. Because and this is all about what you are prompting and what you're actually, the people are giving you. And maybe it's their fault for not giving it to you. Mm-hmm. But people have to write the right resume for the job description. And if people aren't writing the right job description writing the right resume for the right job description, you're not going to find the best person.
Yeah, nope.
Ideally, you want the people that are attracted to the job description to apply. And yeah, they probably should put the effort into the resume. But we all know that people only spend, if they're lucky, 5 to 7 minutes on a resume. And so that's why they use bots or filters or whatever to get rid of most of the the resumes that they receive. And you even see this through LinkedIn and any other ATS system, which is automated tracking. It's kind of redundant, automated tracking system. But they get rid of tons of resumes because they don't have the right keywords, or they don't have the right amount of years of experience, or the thing that they're not putting in the resume pops out enough. And it's really frustrating because I've talked to many companies and they say, oh, they need to have 3 years of experience, or 5 years, or 7 years. But in reality, they don't really care how many years of experience they have. It's a way of thinking. And you can't put a way of thinking because everybody has to make a resume one page.
Yeah.
So how am I, or if I was a job seeker, how am I going to tell a company, this is how I'm thinking? Because there's a good analogy that a friend showed me with software developers. Like, the junior is the person that you have to teach everything, like a fisherman, right? You have to teach them what bait, tackle, everything, blah, blah, blah. The senior or mid is someone that you just go, here's a fishing pole, go find some fish. Yeah. The next level up is like, here's some wood, go make your own go make your own stick to fish with. And then the next is, okay, there's fish, how do we catch it? Like, how do we feed ourselves? And then there's different levels. And it's really hard to get a resume to describe that level if all you're saying is, I need a software developer with 5 years of experience, they should know Ruby, or they should know JavaScript. They should be able to take these rules of responsibility. But if you put those years of experience, you put those things in, you're going to eliminate candidates without even giving them the chance. And that's where it gets kind of tricky when you rely on tools like AI or bots or filters, because you're going to miss a lot of the candidates. And I think I saw a really funny TikTok video and described a situation where a person posted a job description, got 500 applicants, and just threw half away. And essentially it was like a Thanos experiment of, oh, you were unlucky to be in the half that I just got rid of, so that's bad luck for you. And so I'm only going to look at the half that's left for this job. And so that's where I don't know if, I haven't seen a tool yet that's helpful in that sense. And the only way that I see this is if you're and that's one of the things that I think we've done really special is whenever we are actually handpicking people to talk to and creating profiles. We're actually spending like hours on a person. And that's hard for a company to quantify because, like I said, if we break down those numbers, 5 minutes, it takes about 5 minutes to go over a resume to see if it's the right fit or not. You have 100 applications, that's 500 minutes. That's that's a little over 6 hours of work to find 10 candidates that you want to really interview. And you have to break down, 10 candidates from all this that there could be. And it's hard to choose just 10 from 100, but that's what you have to do because that's a lot of interviews. Yeah. Now that's each candidate, that's another hour that you're going to have to spend. That's 10 hours. So now from 100 candidates, you're going to have to spend at least 16 hours just to go through one round.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really attractive to use AI to do a lot of this, because what's your time worth?
Yeah, it's important to maintain focus and to use what you can to be more effective. And like we love talking about this because it also gives us a chance to talk about what's our approach to job descriptions, or what to us in our experience what makes or breaks a good job description. And I feel like not only do we work close to some of the candidates, because I feel like that's something that has a lot of value of our company, that our network, we specify on helping hire developers, but we feel like we know them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so it's easy to vouch for candidates when you can't know 100 persons. In those 6 hours, you read all those resumes, you don't get to meet them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even get to that happens in the interview, but that's what's cool about having a recruiting agency. The people, like the best hires are the ones that are referred. Like, oh, dude, I know this guy. He's an amazing guy. He's very talented. And if you trust the person, usually it works. Like most of the time it works. So we like to think of the recruiting process in the same way. Sometimes we find resumes that are not complete. We always talk to candidates also that you need to brand yourself. You need to stand out. How are you going to stand out in the crowd? And also companies, that come to us with bland job descriptions that could be anyone. I mean, you could hire anyone, dude, with this. You want to make it special. You want to go the extra mile, because in the end, that's what a good hire stays with you and builds with you. And, and that's what everyone wants to accomplish.
Yeah.
I think we can also discuss a little bit of what we do in job descriptions, but also what's the future of job descriptions. I mean, I would love to have a hologram, a hologram for a job description.
I think it's kind of interesting when you think about what is the future of job descriptions, right? And I honestly, I think in the past I've spoken with people, and when I get a job description, when a company comes to us and is like, here's our job description, I go, okay, great. I spend even less time on a job description than people do on a resume, because I understand I've been in the position of what it means to write one. I go, okay, you probably didn't put the time into it, but the knowledge of what you want from that person is all in their head, and it's more emotional, and they don't actually write everything out. So really, and I know we're going to get to the future of it, but it's really I almost just want to have a conversation with the company about their job description, about the things they said, so that the right candidate we can find. Maybe it's not necessarily the right candidate, or maybe it is, but it's the candidate that can add the most value to a company.
Yeah. Those interviews with companies are good too. When you talk to them, it's good. It's I worked in advertising since I was 18, and sometimes I received briefs of commercials or a campaign that I needed to do with bland keywords also, we want a campaign that's going to position us or whatever. But when you talk to the client, specifically when you talk to someone who is passionate about what they do, you can read between the lines of that blandness, and you see, okay, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Why did you put this there? But people have problems expressing themselves and communicating. maybe the future is there. Maybe they'll put something in your brain that can read between the lines of how passionate you are about your business. But in the meantime, you got Awana, who are going to have this discussion with you. I mean, job descriptions, to me, the most important thing is you have to have your values in there. You have to be clear about what the job entails. You need to also talk about what you're building. It's important as well, especially if you're developing product. Sometimes bad hires happen when you just think that the skills are enough. No, you need to, and especially also talk about like companies. I don't know, maybe talk about other companies, but try to give a scope of what you're trying to build as a company and what your goal is. It sounds, and you can do that in one page. It's not that like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You can do that in a short time, be clear about it, and it will help you. I mean, and then in the meantime, we just gotta wait for the future till we get the AI that builds the perfect job description, or I guess it has a database. I don't know.
I think
who knows.
I think probably the near future. I'll say probably in the next 3 months to 6 months. And that's as far as I can think about for in this field at least. Is a future job description is probably going to be essentially what I described, but with a tool of some sort. So you'll be able to talk to a tool and say, instead of just typing it out, because typing it out takes a lot longer, and you probably sometimes just want to jam with something. So you say, all right, I need to write a job description, and let me tell you about my company. So I'm actually just talking to something. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to a tool and going, and I think they're probably not even 3 months away, but I'll give myself a little buffer and say 3 to 6 months. And you'll be able to talk to a tool that'll be able to write what you need out and actually probably even find, I don't know about finding candidates, but at least you'll be able to write the description that you need based on how you talk to a tool.
Yeah, the information that you're giving it, that you're feeding it. Yeah, I feel like if I would have to imagine what the future of AI and job descriptions would be, I would guess that maybe there's this service. I'm gonna let my imagination fly right now.
There we go.
But I imagine there's a service that gives each company one specific AI, and the AI becomes like part of HR in every company in the world. Like everyone has their own little robot that knows everything about the company, everything about. He knows everyone in the, and maybe you need to, they say, oh, talk to the AI to feed it more information, and all the employers in the company do it, and maybe that's where the not the blandness, but it will know everything. Oh, this guy Alex will like this guy, like, maybe not Pedro, like and it'll make a choice.
Vote for
But
Pedro.
that's how kind of I imagine, like. So I think to end this episode, I would like to talk about maybe one of the key takeaways, from for both employers and job seekers when it comes to job description. I mean, I would say that you just gotta put the time to do it, but like I said, try to put your company in there. This is a good exercise I sometimes do when I'm doing advertising. If I put the name of, I do the campaign, and then I change the logo to the competitors, and if it works, it's wrong. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So that's kind of like the type of process that you need to do. Okay, how am I going to bring this special person? You can use AI, but always follow your heart. That's the thing that I would advise everyone. Try to be creative, try to have fun. When things are fun, you put that energy in there, maybe you're going to attract the right person. But yeah, definitely use all your tools, but don't forget of putting yourself in there, the company, the role, the goal, etc., etc. That would be my takeaway from this.
Yeah, and I think you summed it up well. I would just add onto that is, don't do it yourself, right? Yeah. Have other people see it. Have different types of people see it.
Our doors are open.
And understand that consider your time to value and what you can actually accomplish with this.
Yeah.
Job descriptions are the entryway into your company, And what you put in there will determine the type of people that are going to apply to your job. And if you make it so easy for people to get into, you're going to have 500 applications, and then it's going to be a daunting task. If you make it too hard, you're not going to make it as open for people. Accessible. Exactly. So finding that right in between somewhere is really important.
That's a good advice. Find the in between. And I think that is all the time that we have left. As you know, Awana focuses on recruiting, and we place the brightest professionals in LATAM for long-term jobs. And this is the Hiring Nowadays podcast. Our doors are open anytime you want to talk about Latin America, talk about hiring, talk about job descriptions. We're here, we're listening. And my name is Alex.
And I'm Calvin.
And we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.